Hey guys, welcome back to another Friday Reads. Today's video is going to be my November TBR. This is the longest TBR I think I have ever done. October was a really slumpy month for me, and so all the books I wanted to read in October I just kind of pushed into November, where I already had a tentative TBR. So I have 13 books to talk about today, and if you're new to my channel, I typically read between 4 and 5 books per month, so this is wild. There's no way I'm going to be able to read these, although I am going to try my best. Also, Books and Lala just announced that she's hosting a self-named readathon, which I just think is so funny because it's so unlike her. So Lalathon is from November 1st through to the 9th. And that is where we're all going to be reading some of her favorite books. So she did 2 videos. One was all of her favorite thriller books, and then one were the other 150-ish books that are also her favorites. What I did is I just looked through my own collection and pulled out the books that I haven't read yet that I owned that were her favorites, instead of trying to dig through and try and get them from the library, and then there's going to be this big unknown. But I do have 5 books to read in, 10 days. That is doable for me if I really push myself and hunker down. So I'm hoping that maybe I can read all 5, but really if I read 2 or 3, I'll be pretty happy with that. So that is where I'm going to start. I didn't read any thrillers in October, I don't think, and of course that is the month you want to get as many thrillers in as possible. So I did pull 3 thrillers that she had on her favorite thriller list that I owned. First is The Kind Worth Killing. I talked about this in my October TBR. I still am really excited to read it. I just had library books that I needed to read first because they were due back. This is about a man who I believe meets a woman in the airport, and he's complaining to her about how much he hates his wife. And then I think she tries to kill his wife for him. Obviously, it's a thriller. You don't want to know too much about thrillers before going into them, because then it might ruin the plot twist. Speaking of plot twists, 2 books. I think I am probably spoiled for the plot twists in both of them, although I didn't watch either of the movies. And whenever someone tried to talk to me about it, I was like, no, don't tell me, I want to read the books first, because I'm someone who really wants to read the books before watching the movies. And so the first is obviously Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. Kayla likes all of Gillian Flynn's books as far as I can tell, but this is the one that I own. And then same with The Girl on the Train. My mom gave this to me after DNFing it. She said she really didn't like it. I've heard that the characters in this book are really unlikable, so it's hard to kind of enjoy the book in that sense, but I'm pretty sure I've been spoiled on this, but I don't want to look it up in case I wasn't, and then I did spoil it for myself. Next I have The Next Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I don't know anything about this, but I know it's multiple YouTubers that I watch's favorite books. Was that even English? And I found this at Valley Village, I believe. And this is quite a heavy book, but the text is quite big. And I'm excited to get to this. This is probably 5th on my list if I were to rank these 5 in the order I would read them. And lastly, I have The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. The Raven Cycle is one of Kayla's favorite series of all time, and I just found this at the used bookstore, so I'm excited to give this a try. I really didn't want to start many more series. I just did up a spreadsheet of all of the series that I've started and have not yet finished, and there's a lot. So sneak peek to my reading goals for 2019 is to finish some of those series, especially the ones that have that are completed, that all of the books are out. I really just need to work on those, and I'm trying not to start any more series, but I'm failing, as we will see as we get into this TBR. Also, before I forget, one book that I don't have yet is The Lady's Guide to Piracy and Petticoats. Books with Chloe just uploaded her announcement for the read-along for that book. My library does have it, but because it is new, you can't place holds on it. It's kind of like the luck of whoever can get there first, which is so frustrating, but it's out at my local library. And I'm not driving like an hour and a half to a library that it is available in, so I'll just wait for that. They don't have the audiobook yet either, which is kind of how I would prefer to read that book, since that's how I read Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. But I do plan on reading that in November as well. I plan on finishing Gemini, which is the second book in the Illuminae files by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I loved Illuminae, the first book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. So far, I'm really liking this. I've been reading it on audiobook, and I'm on page 262. If you didn't know what the series is about, it's a YA sci-fi / kind of horror, depending on how much you like alien things, I guess. It's set aboard a spaceship. And that's all I'm going to say. I definitely recommend the audiobooks. They're very cinematic. There is like sound effects, like gunfire you can actually hear. There's music playing, and they have a full cast of characters. It's easy to distinguish who is talking, and I also love the mixed media that this book is told in. There's pictures, like this page. I've just really been enjoying this series, and it's one that I might be convinced to actually purchase for myself. Next, is this ever gonna leave my TBR? This is Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. I wanted to participate in the read-along, but with my wedding and all of that earlier in October, I just couldn't pick it up. So I have renewed this. It's due back mid-November, I believe. I really want to read this because I know so many people love it. Books with Chloe is one of my favorite YouTubers, and she hated it. Kaz from The Little Book Owl loves it. It's her favorite series ever. Brittany from The Bibliophile really loved it. So I'm wondering where I'm going to land, but I need to make it a priority, and so far I haven't. I also still have A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. This is apparently a retelling on Beauty and the Beast, and I just need to read it. Tatiana from Little Book Fool said I need to pick it up while I have it from the library, so I still have it. I renewed it along with Nevernight because they were due back. I have no excuses. I was so slumpish after the stress and excitement of the wedding, and then what followed just put me in such a weird funk. I'm still in a funk, not just like a reading funk, but like a life funk. And now I'm PMSing, and it's just turned into like this whole feeling that I just can't shake. I don't know if any of you have ever been there, but that's what I'm experiencing right now. I also want to dive back into the Diviners. I had to return this, and I think I'm on page 300 and something, although I'd have to check my Goodreads to check, but I went back on the list and had to wait about 2 weeks to get it back. But I am really enjoying this. It's kind of like a spooky paranormal type of story, which is why I really wanted to pick it up in October, but I will finish it in November. I have a lot of library books out this month, and all of these are due back in about 3 weeks, I think. I still need to read A Conjuring of Light by V.E. Schwab. I absolutely love this Shades of Magic trilogy. I was following along with Spencer's read along, but I fell behind because these books are so big, and in order for me to have kept up, I would have had to pick this up directly after A Gathering of Shadows, and I just needed a little bit of a mental break because this is an adult fantasy series, and as someone who reads mostly YA, it can be a little much for me at times. Not that these are hard to digest. I don't really know how to explain it, but I just needed a break after reading this, but I did pick it up again. The Shades of Magic trilogy follows 4 parallel Londons, and you have 2 main characters, Kel, who is an Antari, or like a blood magician basically, and Lila, who is a thief who wants nothing more than to be a pirate. And in the second one, there's a big magical competition, and the second one left off on such a cliffhanger, which Victoria Schwab never ever does, so I'm really excited to pick it up. It's just a very daunting book. It is the last in the series, and it's very large. It has over 600 pages. Witchathon happened at the end of October and I didn't get a chance to participate. I just really wasn't in the mood. However, hearing them talk about this book, which was the group book, The Girl Who Drank the Moon, I was really intrigued about this. It's about a witch, and there's this town that like sacrifices babies to it. But really what it does is finds those babies loving homes, like nurses them back to health or something. I could be explaining this completely wrong. But then there's one of the kids who drank from the moon and it gave her like special abilities or something, so the witch has to raise her. I'm not really sure, but I was really excited to this. I believe this an adult? I could have sworn this was like children's. I thought this was like a middle grade book, but I'm not sure. It doesn't have a sticker on the edge like a lot of these other ones do. For example, this one has a young adult sticker on it, but I am excited to pick this up. It didn't seem too Halloween-y that I couldn't read it in November, but I probably won't read it past November, if that makes sense. My stack is getting very wobbly over here. Lastly, I have Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor. I'm currently at like 350 pages in Strange the Dreamer, but I'm definitely going to have that finished by the end of October. Today, as I'm filming, is the 30th, and I know I can finish it by like throughout today and tomorrow, and I'm loving it. I know a lot of people complained that it was slower paced, and I agree. It's definitely not as fast paced as many other fantasy books that I'm familiar with, but it's just so magical and the writing is so incredible that I personally don't feel like lulled to sleep by this speed. It's just very like whimsical. I don't know. I am loving it, and I just got to like a really intense part at like what? It's like 2/3 of the way through. If you read the book, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's such a hard book to explain. Any synopsis that I've heard people say just doesn't give it justice. If you are a fan of YA fantasy and don't need it to be fully action-packed and fast-paced all the way through, I definitely recommend giving it a try. I think if I was in that mood for really fast-paced, I wouldn't enjoy it as much as I am now, where I'm kind of in this like life funk that I'm in currently, but it's just exactly what my soul needed, and I'm just loving it so much. And Muse of Nightmares just released in October, and I was on the wait list like as soon as I heard it was releasing, and my library kind of announced that they were picking it up, and they picked up like 9 copies or something, so there must have been a huge want for it. I put my name on the list and I just got it now, so it did take almost a month for me to get my hands on it, which is lucky since I didn't finish Strange the Dreamer yet. But everyone else must have like devoured this so quickly, and I'm really excited to read the conclusion to this duology. Books with Chloe read this twice in the last 2 months, like both books twice. That's how much she loved it, so I'm really excited to get to this and see what the characters get up to in the second book. I know I sped through those pretty quickly, but I had a lot to chat about. I have a lot of library books that like I need to read ASAP. And then the Lalathon is November 1st to the 9th, and those are all books that I own, which I really didn't plan out that well, since I have 7, potentially 8 library books I need to read by mid-November, and the first 10 days is Lalathon, and I own all of those ones. Oh well. I guess I'll figure it out. What book should I pick up right this second? Well, as soon as I finish Strange the Dreamer. I think I'm gonna try and finish both Gemini and The Diviners first, just to like knock them out, hand them back into the library, let someone else enjoy them, because I know there are people waiting for them, and then I'll dive into the Lalathon. I'm not sure, there's so many books to read, I'm almost overwhelmed by the amount. Let me know in the comments down below what you plan on reading in the month of November. I would love to know. Please do give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!